Hello, Heckling Fandom. Today on Garbage Time, we are going over the NFC East. It's time for Garbage Time. Woo!
Gentlemen.
Garbage Time Fantasy Football. I am your host, Ron Seymour, joined today by Ryan Warner and Joseph McCann. How we doing, boys?
Good.
Great. Where's that fourth picture? He's gone. He's not going to be
He's gone. Look, he showed up for a whole 2 shows. He couldn't be bothered with a third, guys. Come on.
Christian scared him away.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. How are we doing tonight? How are we doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I've got some update on that, though. I guess JJ will have a response to that, so don't worry, Christian. We will get you your proper response one way or another.
It'll probably be posted on the Instagram at Garbage Time Fantasy Football, so go there. Oh, that's right. We have a better replacement for JJ anyways.
That's right. It's Miles.
We've got little Miles going in here. There he is. Oh, yeah. Fall down right on
love
screen.
it.
He's just that's his warm up. He's just getting amped up, ready to bring the energy, you know?
This is live. Your wife is going to look at it and be like, "You're not even watching him. Look, he fell."
But Ryan, this is the NFC East, not the AFC East. We're not talking about the Patriots tonight.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, we just should do every show about the Patriots, but I guess we gotta show some other teams attention too.
Wasn't there a while there where every show we did heavily featured the Patriots?
Well, I feel like every show we do heavily features our favorite teams, so.
I feel like there was a couple of shows where it was just constant, it felt like.
Like tonight is going to heavily favor the Giants.
Maybe.
You mean most definitely.
There's not much to talk about with the Giants. I mean.
It's kind of
all
true.
Right.
Give me that news drop.
I don't want to give you the news drop. The
You're
news drop is stupid.
Drop. I don't care. Give it to me.
News updates.
I'm a man. All right. So I guess tonight on the news, I'll start with something more uplifting, and then we'll get to some sad news, unfortunately, with the Jets at the end. All right. So I'll start with well, really, there's nothing uplifting tonight.
I was going to say, I don't know what uplifting you're talking about.
I was
whatever.
Uplifting, and then I looked at my list. There's nothing uplifting. So we'll just get to disappointing news all around. So Kadarius Toney was put on the Giants' reserve COVID list, which seems to be a trend on our show. We're now on the NFC East, and we did the West last week. Last week was an injury, and this week someone goes on the COVID list. So there tends to be a bad trend going of something bad happening to a team in the division on the day we're going to break them down. So let's try to not do that for the North next week. Yeah, good thing. Let's try that.
No, you know what's going to happen? No. Aaron Rodgers will come and say he's retiring right before we go to do the NFC North.
JJ would have the biggest party.
Oh, my God. JJ would never miss that show if that happened.
Oh, my God. No.
He would do it from the car while he was driving if he had to.
He would throw a party.
Yeah.
He would. You would see him celebrating as he was moving.
Oh, definitely.
Fireworks out the window.
He's like that Geico commercial with the pig going wee 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 all the way home, sticking his head out with the sparklers.
Anyway, Ron, do you think Kadarius Toney going on the reserve COVID list is going to affect anything at all?
It depends on if he's showing symptoms. I mean, most people they put a lot of people on that list last year that just came in contact or tested positive, but were fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's enough time before the start of the season. I think he'll be fine. Yeah. And honestly, I don't know if he has much of an impact on this offense anyways this year.
Yeah. And are the same reserve rules still carrying over where it's going to be 3 weeks opposed to 6 weeks and everything when the season starts? When it comes to...
So that's for non-vaccinated players, I believe. It may be similar, but for vaccinated players, I don't know how that's going to work. I think they have lesser strenuous things that are going to happen with them. But we'll stay on that topic, getting non-political about this, not one way or the other with the vaccine. But DeAndre Hopkins had a tweet today about something the NFLPA came out with. The NFLPA was declaring that, along with the NFL, that if non-vaccinated players cause their team to not have enough players to play, that they probably won't extend into a Week 19, and that a team will simply end up forfeiting. And on a tweet before he deleted it, he had mentioned that he was considering retiring because he just didn't see how this would really affect him in a positive light or his team. Ron can express what happened after he deleted that tweet, though.
Yeah, he deleted the tweet, and then he said that he's got 9 more years left in him. Y'all have a nice day. I think he was just venting, and as many people do, they vent on social media, which isn't always the smartest thing, but sometimes when you're in a heated headspace, you don't always do the smartest thing. Then we got to give people
That's
a little...
true because...
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I wanted to comment on your venting thing because Matt Judon also put out a tweet saying the NFL PA fucking sucks. So he felt the same way as DeAndre Hopkins did initially.
I think another thing that kind of has players annoyed is I believe I saw too that if a game gets canceled, then those players don't get paid.
Yeah.
For that week, no one gets paid. So I think, and it's surprising to see a union kind of, because a union's supposed to be like, or association or whatever, is supposed to be kind of trying to get their players paid. So I think that really frustrated a lot of them as well.
This might be going into the trend that a lot of NFL players believe that the NFLPA kind of caters to the NFL a lot and is pretty weak, as opposed to the MLB union, which kind of always seems to stick it to the MLB and has their players back. So it might just be them more venting frustrations too with the environment of the world right now, which can be very frustrating for a lot of people, as DeAndre Hopkins showed by his tweet. But, I think after the initial shock, he's starting to calm down about it. So, let's get on to football, I guess.
Yeah, football it is. I will say that last year, at this time, there was a lot of issues concerning very similar things. What was going to happen? What's it going to be like? And the season pretty much went on without a hitch. All the games are played. I think this season will be more of the same. It'll end up being fine. Nothing will really come of it. I doubt any games actually have to get forfeited. And I believe
the NFL seemed... Yeah, they didn't even have a Week 19 last year. They were able to reschedule everything around and move things around if games had to be moved around. So I think if, God forbid, that does happen again.
Unless you were the Denver Broncos, and then you just had to play your game with a wide receiver at quarterback.
Exactly.
Right.
That was a fun game to watch.
Oh, man. All right, so let's go. Let's get ready. We got no more news, right?
We got one more thing. It's a little bit more heartbreaking, but one of the Jets assistant coaches, Greg Knapp, unfortunately passed away this morning. He was in a terrible accident this past week. And so, our hearts go out to the Jets organization, his family, and it's just some things are beyond football and come more important for us. So prayers for his family and anyone involved that knew him. Rest in peace, Greg Knapp.
Yep. Yeah, never fun. Never fun. All right, anything else?
And we froze, I think, or I did.
I feel like Ryan's talking and muted or something.
Go ahead again, Ryan.
He doesn't have his head plugged in.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, everybody. Kind of had to take a break quick. The wife got home, so the dogs freaked out, and then I had to run downstairs. So now I'm off baby duty. Miles is stepping out of the show, and
he had great content.
He did.
He contributed more than JJ. That's the important thing.
That is the truth.
That's all we need to know.
All right, we'll move right into this breakdown. We got the NFC East today. Sorry, I'm getting all tangled up in my cords over here.
Sorry, you like it.
That's weird, but okay.
We're going there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What else are we doing garbage time?
That's right. All right, so the NFC East, the first team I have on my list is the winners of the division, the Washington football team. I'm pretty sure I've got this all set up in the way they finished the division last year. I may be wrong with the bottom two. I don't remember. I guess I could have looked it up, but I didn't feel like that. That seemed like work. That's stupid.
God forbid we do that.
Right, that's just silly. So they had quite a few newcomers on this team this year, including their new quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and 2 new wide receivers in Curtis Samuel and Adam Humphries. So this is greatly kind of a changed team on offense.
It is. Very interesting.
It should be. I mean, they have one of the better defenses in the league.
I found this team so interesting. I actually statted out both quarterbacks over a 17-game schedule should they start. I think the stats for all the players will be similar regardless, but there's a slight difference in quarterback styles, which will be cool to go over.
Yeah. So the other quarterback, Tyler Heineke?
Yes.
All right. I did not stat him out. I feel like they seen what he was, and they really, if he has to play, they'll play him, but I think they're going to ride with Fitzpatrick the whole season, rely on the running game and the defense, and don't have to make Ryan Fitzpatrick do too awful much if he don't have to.
See, that's what my gut's saying too, but I like him so much that I could see them for some reason going to him, but we'll do it over Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I'll go over Heineke at the end, should he start.
Yeah, so I got Fitzpatrick at 4,500 yards and 31 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. How's that line up with your stats?
I've got him at 4,300 yards, which comes out to 252 yards a game. I've got him at 25 TDs, 17 interceptions, 150 yards rushing, and 2 rushing TDs. So I think he'll have a good year because of his weapons in this offense.
I also have 2 rushing TDs.
You know, you got to give the old man something, right?
Yeah, no, he likes to around the goal line. He will take off and go for him if he has to.
Do you guys think he breaks out the that fancy jacket that he had from last year because he's still in a warm climate city?
I mean, it'd be crazy not to. I mean, what?
Like a mobster.
I think your guys' stats are pretty on. I mean, last year in 10 games, threw for 2,000 yards, 13 TDs, 8 interceptions. I would say he's probably on a more talented team this year. And according to Fantasy Pros, he is, for strength of schedule for quarterbacks, he's in 6th, which would be ranked as easy on a scale of easiest to hardest. So I think he's going to sling it this year.
Yep. And an interesting stat that we brought up on a previous episode was over the last 4 or 5 years, the games that he has actually started, I believe it was half of them, he finishes as a top 10 quarterback in fantasy in a lot of them. So just keep an eye on him in this offense. He's got that boom bust potential for you. He's a good late quarterback to pick, and I predicted him to finish in the top 10 of quarterbacks this year should he start, and I think he really could.
Yeah.
He could be a really good streaming option.
Absolutely.
Like that you might be able to use for multiple weeks in a row.
Yeah, especially towards the end of the season. Like towards the end of the season, he's got Dallas, Philly for a 4-game stretch.
Oh boy!
That might be championship winning,
and that's split 2-2 for at home and away. So, like, I think that 4-week stretch, if you want to stream Fitzpatrick there, I don't think you can go wrong.
Yeah. Especially against Dallas's defense. Their defense was horrible last year, and they really did not do much.
They got some prospects, but they're still young, you know? Like, it's still developing. So, and then he opens versus the Chargers, which that defense isn't great.
Although their safety should be back this year. Their Pro Bowl safety.
Their safety, not to mention Joey Bosa.
Yeah. I think they're going to have a lot better defense than you think, Ryan.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm actually going strictly off Fantasy Pros. This is no insight. This is no knowledge from me.
Yeah, well, I think they got that one wrong. I think they're going to be a very good defense, actually. But I very much agree.
Nope. Joe froze, I think.
Agree with your point. Yeah, it froze, and I'm back. He is definitely a quarterback to target towards the end of the draft if you miss out on those top 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah, and that 4-game stretch would be right around the playoffs, too, I think, for a lot of leagues, because it's week 14, 15, 16, 17. So most playoffs are like week 15, probably? 16?
It'll probably start in week 15 this year because there's 18 weeks.
Yeah, so if you snag him for playoffs, that could be a championship winner.
if your league is doing last game championships, you're in the wrong type of league.
I agree.
I think ending 2 weeks before the end of the season is good, just because you have the teams that coast at the end if they're in a really good spot.
Although I would really enjoy a concept of making the people who are in the losers bracket play week 18 to win their money back. That would be pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Have to make a roster of anybody who's left. Yeah.
I'll probably be there, so I'm for it. With my fantasy luck last year, I think it's just going to carry over.
Right.
Get some running backs, Ryan.
All right, so the main two running backs on this team are Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick. I got Antonio Gibson being the bell cow, the leader of this backfield.
A little small to be a bell cow, but sure.
It works.
I got him for 260 attempts for 1,222 yards and 8 touchdowns. Only 288 yards receiving with 1 touchdown receiving. And then I got McKissick with 151 attempts, just under 700 yards and 2 rushing TDs, and then just under 400 yards receiving with 3 receiving touchdowns.
So you have them going pretty run heavy this season, it looks like, compared to...
I do think they try to run the ball and play defense. This defense is outstanding. Like, this is one of the best defenses in the NFL right now, I believe.
So if they can do time of possession and just pound the rock, they'd be...
That's right. Pound it in.
How many carries per game was that for Gibson?
For Gibson, I got per game.
Yeah.
No,
did you?
Now you're making me do math.
I didn't know if you broke it down that way. I could have just done it myself.
Number divided by 17.
I did do it that way, but I didn't write that down. It's 15 carries a game. That's not a lot.
But McKissick is in this offense too, so he's going to be on the field too.
See, he worries me because he added weight. He's more of the pass catcher, and I don't know. I just don't trust my running backs who are pass catchers to add weight.
He's putting on that Wendell White weight.
Yeah, I just feel like he's going to slow down, and then which will help me because I have Antonio Gibson in a few leagues, so I'll be really happy if McKissick just goes away and then Antonio Gibson is getting all of these targets because he will go from a really solid RB2 with low RB1 upside to top 5 upside if he was to get all the targets and be the main person in this.
It's interesting that you said that too, because I was listening to the BDGE fantasy podcast today. Big Dog's Got to Eat. And they were talking about how his prospects are actually falling in his ADP has fallen close to the 4th round, which is crazy because he could probably be a league winner for you if he gets the work that they're talking about. I actually statted out Gibson at 254 carries, and I've got him at, I believe, actually 200. Yeah, it was 254 at 4.3 yards carries, 7 touchdowns, and 1,118 yards. So, I mean, he could very well be the bell cow. And I've got McKissick at 200 yards and still retaining his third down role at 450 yards a game and 3 receiving touchdowns. So, I mean, he really could be a great value if you're getting him towards the 4th round, which was crazy considering a month ago he was going in the 2nd.
Yeah, and so last season he got 170 attempts off 14 games, so I think Ron pretty much kept pretty close to that carries per game average. Joe definitely kind of seems like you're expecting a huge uptick in his usage this upcoming season.
Yep.
And his yards per carry 4.7 last season was pretty good. Peyton Barber, just looking briefly, 2.7 yards per carry last season.
Yeah, so he isn't doing much.
Like, oh my God.
2.7 yards. Concrete boots, baby. Concrete boots.
Man, they must have just gotten some bad situation. They must have just put him in there anytime that there was no chance of actually doing anything.
Big Bird, baby. Big Bird.
His longest rush of the season was 15 yards.
Fair to say he's not going to get on the field this season.
All right, so we'll move on to the wide receivers of this team. Like I said, they brought in new ones, Curtis Samuel and Adam Humphries, but they still have Terry McLaurin. I messaged you guys this earlier. I had to relax on Terry McLaurin because I had him for a lot of yards, and I'm like, there's no way he's getting that many yards.
Were you getting a fantasy boner for him, Ron?
Well,
yes.
Especially with Curtis Samuel showing up. I mean, if he wasn't going to be in that offense, I think you could go pretty heavy on McLaurin, but I think Samuel being there is definitely going to take away from him a little bit.
Well, Here's my thing. Fitzpatrick loves targeting his wide receivers, and he loves targeting his top 2 wide receivers. He's always supported, when he's had his good seasons, he's always supported 2 wide receivers on pretty much every team he's been on.
And boy, is he going to love Terry McLaurin.
And he's going to love Terry McLaurin to the tune of 172 targets.
Jeez.
120 receptions.
Wow.
1,664 yards.
No, not more than Kelvin Ridley.
12
Absolutely
touchdowns.
not. You're nuts.
That's with you toning it back?
That was with me toning it back.
Oh, my God.
You were high on him. I love that you're that high on him. I've got him having very good numbers, but not like that. Holy shit.
The thing is, it still shocks me, those numbers. Like, I still am looking at them and be like, that can't be right. I got to adjust something. I just don't know where.
Dude, I've got him at 1,330 yards and 7 TDs, and you're like, no, jack those numbers up.
Jack, you got to get those numbers up, baby.
Oh, my God.
I think 1,300 is fair. I don't.
So as of right now, I don't have every team statted out yet. I still have to do like the Panthers. I think I have to finish the Falcons. I do have Calvin Ridley done, and then we've got the entire NFC North I have to do. So Devontae Adams, Allen Robinson. There's quite a few people. In my wide receiver rankings right now, he is number 2.
Unbelievable.
Behind Calvin Ridley.
Dude, so in the description, I'm talking about these guys being top 10 receivers. You've got him at 2.
But that's without Devontae Adams. Like, that's, Devontae Adams isn't up there yet.
What did you give everybody else? I mean, if you have Terry McLaurin getting that much.
Wow.
Well, I mean, they're all right around there. Like, I think it's touchdowns were the biggest discrepancy between the other top people. Like
shit, Mr. Optimistic.
Like Stephon Diggs, I only got for 9 touchdowns, so 3 more touchdowns would have put him almost right up there in contention. But, also the Bills don't pass it. I don't know. I think this team is going to pass a lot. And Ryan Fitzpatrick hyper targets his guys. Like,
that is true. I remember when Brandon Marshall played for us, he had 1,500 yards. So, I mean, it's not a wrong possibility.
Brandon Marshall, and then Eric Decker still had over 1,000 too. Like,
yeah, it's very possible.
I feel like if he's slinging it that much, though, then you won't see as big of a season out of Gibson. I could be wrong. They might
remember you wouldn't be wrong.
You got to remember that extra game, though.
Yeah, but you have that offense doing a lot of yards in both areas.
I would not be shocked if this team won the division handedly.
Okay.
Like, I'm a Giants fan, and I think the Washington football team is probably the best team in this division overall.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Their defense is astounding. They brought in a bunch of pieces. I honestly think they could. They're trying to make a run.
Don't forget about that offensive line. I don't think it's that bad either.
Exactly. Yeah, this team is built. All it needed was a quarterback and maybe another weapon. And what'd they do this offseason? They brought in a quarterback and another weapon.
I'm drinking the Washington football team Kool-Aid.
True. It's true.
Me too.
That's a high power.
And I hate it.
Can we talk about another high-powered weapon, Curtis Samuel?
Let's do it. What do you got him for?
All right, so I've got Curtis Samuel going back to Rivera, his old coach, and having a pretty successful year. I've got him at 800 yards, 5 TDs, 165 yards, rushing, and 2 rushing touchdowns. I think they're going to use him on trick plays. He showed that propensity with the Panthers, so it's possible.
I also believe they're going to use him on trick plays. I didn't stat out any of his rushing yards because I forgot. But I also got him for 92 receptions and just over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, so
I think it's
playing the Eric Decker role.
I honestly think it's going to be these two guys or no one. And the thing is, with Terry McLaurin, he's open a lot.
Yeah.
Like, he's a difficult person to guard. So I don't think it'll be much of, like, okay, so Adam Humphries I got for 35 catches.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe anybody. Logan Thomas, 50 catches. I don't believe anybody else on this team does anything.
I was about to say, I would be jumping ahead a little bit. So it sounds like both of you are expecting a pretty big dip for Logan Thomas. I mean, last year he was number 2 on the team as far as receiving goes.
I've got Thomas at 550 and 4 touchdowns.
Okay.
So I think he'll have a decent year.
450 and 5 touchdowns. Fitzpatrick doesn't care about his tight ends.
Not really.
Very true.
He doesn't care about his running backs. Like, I've got a total between the 2 running backs I sat out, and I got a total of 90 receptions.
Mm-hmm.
How many passing yards did you have for Fitzpatrick, Ron?
4,500.
4,500?
Yeah.
Okay.
And on an interesting note, too, you brought up Adam Humphries dropping off as the 3rd wide receiver. It sounds like there's not going to be a lot of value here, but someone to keep an eye on. Maybe not necessarily this year, too. He's only entering his 2nd year, but for some reason, I still love Antonio Golden Gandy. I've got him 400 yards and 2 touchdowns. He could be a decent dynasty stash for you if you just had startup leagues. He's super athletic. I don't feel like he's on a lot of people's radars, and he was a great player for Liberty. Just keep an eye on him down the line.
Did they draft him this year?
Last year.
Joe's only saying that because he's from Liberty.
No, that's not the only reason I'm saying it. Just
go
watch some of his film, and you'll be a fan of him.
My only problem with that
last year, but
my only problem with that is if they thought they had something Antonio Gandy Golden, they would not have brought in 2 other wide receivers.
Just call this my gut feel and keep an eye on him.
You want to know who had more yards than Antonio Gandy Golden last season?
Almost everyone. He didn't do anything last year.
Was it KJ Hamler?
Jeremy Sprinkle.
Yeah,
nice. I love a good Sprinkle reference.
Double the yards, actually.
Oh, man.
Antonio Gandy Golden got 3. Jeremy Sprinkle got 6.
Sprinkle for MVP, baby.
There you go. The insignificant stats of the show.
That's what I'm here for.
That's what Ryan's here for. That's why we need him.
Before we move on, just let me cover Taylor Henneke if he was to start 17 weeks and we get a shocking surprise that he starts instead of Fitzpatrick. Okay. So I statted out Henneke in this offense too. I saw him at 3,700 yards passing. That comes up to 217 yards a game at 22 TDs, 14 interceptions, and I got him at 170 yards rushing with 2 rushing touchdowns. So average 2nd-year kind of quarterback if he went in. He's not a 2nd-year player, but it'd be kind of his 2nd year in the song.
If Heineke was to start, I feel like Antonio Gibson would have a much better year.
I do too. I think it would be a big step for the winning game.
And obviously, I wouldn't have McLaurin where he is.
I just think looking at the schedule, and I think there's no way Fitzpatrick doesn't start pretty much the whole season.
They brought him in.
Agree, but I really like Heineke too.
I think they really like Heineke as a backup. He played really well in his starts, but I don't think they feel him as someone that can get them all the way. And that's what they feel like Ryan Fitzpatrick could do.
Yeah.
I've been on record on the show saying that if Miami started Ryan Fitzpatrick all of last year, they would have made a playoff run. I'm not saying just made the playoffs and got a win. They would have made a run. Like, it could have very well been them against the Kansas City Chiefs or Buffalo Bills.
During that playoff game, didn't he just have Gardner Minshew vibes? Like you could really like this guy.
I think it's just the underdog thing, like, look at this kid coming out of nowhere and just leading this team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Well, Joe's a Jets fan, so he'll always have that soft spot for underdogs because he's just used to
underdog for life.
All right. From the Jets that we talked about for 2 seconds, we'll go to the same stadium and we'll talk about the New York Football Giants.
Future starting quarterback Mike Glennon.
Stop it. I don't think that happens.
Top 10 fantasy quarterback, Daniel Jones.
Explain yourself, Ron Seymour.
I also don't think that happens.
We have a recording.
Yeah, we have proof.
I was saying it was in the realm of possibilities, and that was way too early.
And he's backtracking already.
No, I don't blame him. I'd backtrack too.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad take.
All right, so I got him for 4,011 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions, 434 rushing yards, and 2 rushing TDs.
So you have him taking a big jump.
Compared to last year, yeah, I think he has a better year. He's got better weapons. I think it can really only go up for him.
I mean, last year he only finished with 2,900 last year. So,
well, he missed
2 games.
Yeah, but if you look at his rookie year, he played pretty decent his rookie year. If he didn't get injured then, he was actually on pace to break the rookie touchdown record for a QB.
Okay.
He didn't have those Crisco fingers and like to fumble so much.
Yeah, that's a problem. And
it's a big problem.
But I do feel like if he can get that under control, and now that he's got Kenny Galladay, who catches a lot, I feel like even if he doesn't play well, this defense isn't bad. I feel like they can win some games. I by no means think that they could go win it all, although I've said that before about a Giants team, and they
How many yards?
Where are you statting him?
How many yards do you have him at, Ron?
4,011.
Actually, that's statting him among quarterbacks.
That's
currently.
That'll probably go down.
That's actually not that bad though, because last season he was averaging 240 yards per game. So you stat that out. He's on a better team this year, better weapons. If you stat that out, it does end up being over 4,000. So it's definitely possible.
So Ron, where does he stat out from 10? Where is he now?
20.
All right, that's a little more fair.
That's fair. Yeah.
All right. Would you like to hear what I've got him doing?
Probably getting benched.
Probably.
There's potential for that. I think he'll take a slight uptick this year and be a little bit better. So I've got him statted out for 3,600 yards this season, 20 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 350 yards rushing. So he will be slightly better for all the shit I give Ron for him. Will he potentially get benched? I was kind of more joking about that. Probably not. But they may look at other prospects after this year or something obvious like, say, Aaron Rodgers presents itself. Daniel Jones, I think, is an average quarterback along the lines of like Sam Darnold. So, take him for what he's worth. I think he takes a little bit of a jump up, but it might not be enough to secure his jobs in the years past this.
Yeah, unless this team, I said exit solo layout. There you go.
You just like my face so much.
Well, as long as even if this team performs well enough to say win the division, which I don't think is outside the realm of possibilities. I don't believe it's a great probability, but I think it could happen. They almost did last year, which no team in this division outside of the football team made me feel like they've done much to improve themselves.
I think you have about a 10% chance to win that division. I don't foresee you guys having a great year.
That's fine. Then maybe, honestly, I don't mind them trading back and earning capital in the draft, but Justin Fields was there. We should have took him.
I hate shitting on your team. I really think they're finishing 4th.
They won't finish 4th.
You might finish 4th.
The Eagles will finish 4th.
I don't think so.
All right, so the running backs on this team. Are we done talking about Daniel Jones?
Yeah, you can move on, bro.
Yeah.
All right. The running backs on this team are Saquon Barkley and Devontae Booker.
Yes,
Saquon coming back from his torn ACL. Still not sure if he'll be ready for training camp, but I feel like even if the doctors told him he was ready for training camp, he still wouldn't participate in any type of training camp. I think he'll be ready for week 1. I think he's just being cautious. I know he's come out and said, I'm just going to follow my path. I think he's just being cautious and doesn't want to give any false hope or anything like that.
Yeah. Adrian Peterson said that back in the day, and then he came back and was the fantasy one running back.
Yeah, almost broke the yardage record that year. Yeah,
he did. Not saying Saquon will do that, but he's going to have
neither am I. So I've actually got Saquon Barkley having an okay year, but nothing super fantastic. I got him for 281 rush yards, 281 rush attempts. I do that all the time.
These number games just get to you.
1,236 yards and 8 TDs, and then 50 receptions for 412 yards and 3 TDs. If anything goes up out of those two scenarios, I would bet my money it would be receptions and reception yards over rushing yards. Mm-hmm. The offensive line still has to prove itself. They haven't really done much to improve it. But he's the type of runner when he's on his game, it doesn't really matter about the offensive line all that much.
Well, here's a surprise for you. I think he's going to have a very good year, actually, because I told you Daniel Jones is pretty average in my book. So I think they're going to heavily have to rely on him. And I think they will early on, even though the smoke says that they won't. So I've got him statted out for 1,400 yards, 10 TDs, and 300 yards receiving, and 2 receiving TDs. So I think he's going to have a phenomenal year.
It's not bad. I would take those numbers.
Which would be a career high for Saquon.
I think he's going to do it this year.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I think it's going to depend on whether he plays the full season or not. That's obviously going to be the huge question mark going into this one.
Kenny Golladay will help them make sure that defenses stay honest to it too, because they'll stack the box a little bit less. A little bit, not much.
All right, so I don't know about you, but I didn't really stat Devontae Booker for all that much. It doesn't sound like you did also.
300 yards, 50 receiving yards, 2 TDs. He's a beast if he comes in and becomes a starting running back. He was very good, I believe, with the Raiders last year when he came in garbage time. Was he with the Raiders last year? I remember him statting out very well last year when he actually played games.
I don't remember.
Regardless, he's a good backup.
Yeah, he's irrelevant as long as Saquon's healthy.
He's your handicap.
Handcuff would be the word.
No, well, he's not going to handicap Saquon Barkley. He's your handcuff.
Well, handcuff, yeah, exactly. You're our handicap.
All right, you're not good at the numbers games, and I'm not good at the word game.
All right, we'll move on to the wide receivers. The top three. The top three are Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard, and Darius Slayton. They did draft Kadarius Toney. Here's a scenario that I could potentially see for Kadarius Toney to get more time on the field. If during training camp a wide receiver gets injured, like a wide receiver of note, and then they decide to, I'm not saying on this team, I'm saying on another team, and they decide to trade Sterling Shepard, then Kadarius Toney might have a bigger role in this offense. Right now, I think he's more for trick plays, stuff of that nature, and not very many of them.
I agree with you. I had him statted out at 300 yards, 2 TDs, 50 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown.
Yeah, I didn't even stat him out. So Kenny Golladay I got for 120 targets, 74 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 7 TDs. Sterling Shepard, 63 catches, 700 yards, 3 TDs. Darius Slayton, 40 catches, 587 yards, and 2 TDs.
I have your offense doing a very similar concept because I think your guys' offense is going to remain very vanilla. I've got Kenny Golladay at 1,150 yards, 8 TDs. Sterling Shepard at 600 yards, 3 TDs. And Darius Slayton at 502 TDs. Because Daniel Jones is average.
Yep.
Ryan?
I don't.
Unmute himself.
There we go.
Yeah, I just don't know if I see them having Kenny Golladay. You know, if he gets 1,000 reception yards, I don't know if they if the other ones really get those high of numbers. I mean, Shepard, it's tough because the last 2 seasons he's missed. I mean, I think 2 years ago he played 10 games. This past one he played 12. So I think his health
they can reach 600 or 500 yards a piece. That's pretty brutal if they can't.
I think Ryan's really disparaging the fact that there's an extra game for one.
Or he really hates the Giants because they've taken 2 Super Bowls away from the Patriots.
I do hate the Giants.
How many yards for 600 yards, Ryan, how many yards per game do you think that is?
Let me do my
No. Off the top of your head.
So 600 yards?
Yeah.
Is what?
Be like, I don't know, I'm going to say 25.
It's 35.
Okay.
So to say a professional NFL player that's starting on a team that'll run 3 wide receiver sets quite a bit won't get an average of 35 yards a game is a little much.
Well, but then you also have Evan Ingram there who got more targets than any other receiver in the offense last season.
Even for having stone hands?
Yeah. And then, I mean, you have Shepard who if he plays every game, I'll be shocked. But yeah, you guys are probably right. 35 yards a game. I mean, Darius Slayton could definitely get up there. So yeah, I stand corrected. I guess you guys are right. Even though I don't think Sterling Shepard plays every game.
I don't think he does either. I kind of hope that Sterling Shepard gets traded. I don't know what his cap number is right now, but I know we gave him a newer contract last year, I believe. And it would be nice to get out of that for someone who can't really stay on the field very much. And then we'd be able to see what we have in Kadarius Toney a little bit better.
So you're saying you'd trade him for a bag of shit, is what you're saying?
If we could get a fourth, fifth rounder, I'm sure that'd be fine. It seems like that's the kind of stuff we're doing right now is, piling up picks so we can, similar to what the Jets did, really. They piled up a bunch of picks and then.
You got 2 first-round picks next year.
So Sterling Shepard's cap hit this season is $9 million.
Yeah. So it's nothing crazy. So it's not like we wouldn't be able to trade him.
And there's a potential out in 2022, it looks like.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
All right, so are we done with the wide receivers? You got anything else to say, Joe? Did you even say your stats? I think you did. You did.
Let's move on to Stone Hands Ingram.
All right, yeah, I really feel like Daniel Jones is going to be really happy with Kenny Golladay. So I think that takes a lot of his attention. And, I mean, Kenny Golladay is really good at beating double coverage and just catching a ball. So I think Daniel Jones is really going to appreciate that. So I think Evan Ingram only gets about 46 receptions for 531 yards.
I think that's generous.
3 touchdowns. And then Kyle Rudolph will get 36 receptions for 350 yards and a touchdown. It wouldn't shock me if Kyle Rudolph actually gets more. He's older, slower, not as athletic, but he's going to catch the ball.
Unlike Evan Ingram.
Right.
I've got him statted out at 450 yards and 2 TDs. Nothing fantastic.
Yeah.
He won't be on my team.
Nope, not on my team either. What about you, Ryan? Will be on your team?
No, won't be on my team. And kind of like what I alluded, I mean, I knew, like I said previously, that someone on the team would have to be taking a huge hit as far as attention goes with Kenny Golladay showing up. And it sounds like based on your stats, Evan Ingram's going to be the one that suffers the most. And I think you guys are right.
Ryan, where would you be comfortable taking Kenny Golladay in the draft? In a snake format?
Say round 5.
4 or 5.
All 4 or 5.
I'd be real happy if I could get him as my wide receiver too.
That's what I was thinking. So.
He'd be an excellent wide receiver too.
I agree. I think he'll give you wide receiver 1 games from time to time.
His upside is wide receiver 1, but unfortunately his quarterback is shit, so I don't see him getting wide receiver 1 numbers.
Well, your quarterback is a rookie that looks like he's 12, all right?
Sorry, that 12-year-old's going to outplay your guy that looks like I can't even comment. I will get
Eli
kicked off
Manning.
We'll get
He
kicked
looks
off
like
YouTube.
Eli Manning.
No, we'll get kicked off YouTube if I say what I want to say.
All right, let's move on to the Dallas Cowboys. The biggest thing with this team is they get Dak Prescott back at QB. What's he going to be like after his ankle injury? Sounds like he's going to be ready for training camp, I think is what I've seen.
Yep.
Which is great news. Great news. But like I said, this defense is horrible, so I think just like last year, they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. I do believe that they will break records in a lot of passing categories, just like he was on pace to do last year.
And they were still losing.
So I got him for 712 attempts on the year. Yeah.
What does that amount to in yards?
That's not that off. Like compare
469 completions, 5,411 yards.
I think that finishes QB1.
What's crazy is all of those numbers, if you take his first 5 games and put him over a 17-game season, that these numbers I have are lower than those numbers.
Way lower. Like I think over 17 games, like he would have been over 6,000 yards.
Yeah.
At the pace he was going.
So to answer the question in our title, will he have 5,000 yards passing? Ron says yes. Ryan definitely says yes, having him as a QB1 this year.
Yes.
Now the question is, do I say yes? So I've got Dak Prescott out at exactly 5,000 yards, 32 touchdowns passing, 17 interceptions, 310 yards rushing. I've got it's going to be a little bit less than what he would previously be doing because of that injury he had, and 4 rushing touchdowns. So he's going to have an absolutely fantastic year for fantasy football. Do I think he'll be the number 1? No, because there's other quarterbacks with more rushing ability than him, but he's going to have a monstrous year. Be good for fantasy football.
I half expected you to say you have him set it out for 4,999 yards.
Just to be a troll?
Just to be that guy.
No, he's hitting the 5,000.
I can't believe you got him over 5,000. I've only got him at 4,999.
Sounds like something I do.
Slap you. Yeah, man, that's why I expected it.
I do have him there.
I do have him rushing for 316 yards and 5 TDs. I think if he's ready for training camp, I think they'll get him loosened up enough to where his rushing numbers won't take that much of a hit.
Protect him, and he's going to flourish.
Yeah, so...
Unfortunately, it's not going to help in wins.
No. Not when the defense is allowing that many yards also.
Bring in some corners.
So I got Zeke having a pretty good bounce-back year. I think they lean on him heavily. Ryan, will you check Zeke's contract? How many years he got back out? How many years he got left and everything for me?
Yeah.
So I've got him for 328 rush attempts, just under 1,500 yards and 8 TDs, and then 433 receiving yards with 2 TDs there. My thinking is that I'm pretty sure he's getting closer to the end of his contract assigned. I think he's got 2 years left after this year. And I want to say there was some sort of out.
So there, by contract, they have him through the end of the 2026 season, but there is an out in 2023.
That's what it was.
So after the 2022 season, it's only $6 million in dead cap to let him go. To put it in perspective, if they tried doing something this year, it would be $36.9 million in dead cap.
Right. So I'm kind of thinking that they're going to run him into the ground this year and not really care if much happens to him because they can get rid of him if they need to this upcoming year with minimal dead cap.
Interesting.
Yes.
Then I got Tony Pollard at 150 carries, 700 yards, 3 TDs, and 400 yards receiving with 3 TDs there.
Very interesting ideas. So I've got a little bit of a different idea for Zeke Elliott. But this is off the predictions that I don't think he's going to play every game this season. He's shown that he's doesn't stay healthy all the time and isn't on the field all the time. So I've got him. I wouldn't call it a disappointing season. I think he'll still be an efficient running back, but for where he's being taken, I think it'll be disappointing. I've got him at 1,000 yards, 8 TDs, 410 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. And like you said, Tony Pollard is a very good backup, and I think they're going to use him a little bit more this year. I don't have him at 700 yards like you did, but I've got him at 520 yards, 4 TDs, 200 yards receiving, and 1 receiving TD. So for where Elliott is being taken, I think it'll be a little bit of a disappointment, but I think he'll still remain in the running back 1 range with the receiving work he'll get.
See, I think Zeke is just one of those guys where he's going to be consistent from week to week. He may not get you any like week winning performances, but he's not going to kill you at all either.
I mean,
like he's going to get
never
you
liked
points.
him. I never draft him.
The 5 weeks that Dak was starting, Zeke was a top 3 running back, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, it'll see how that translates to this year, as far as health goes and things like that. But I think he could definitely be a strong force if the offense looks like it did last year, and if the defense looks like as bad as it did last year.
Yeah.
I think they're going to try to keep him healthy. That's why I've got Pollard having a little bit of work here.
All right, so we are going through the wide receivers now.
Oof, this is going to be
and how are they going to dole out these 5,000 plus yards that we have him statted for? I think the main beneficiary is still Amari Cooper. Him and Dak have really good rapport with each other. And even in the first 5 games when CeeDee Lamb was playing well, Amari Cooper was still playing very well. So I got Amari Cooper at 150 targets, 101 receptions, 1,450 yards, and 7 TDs. And then the number 2 on this team, CeeDee Lamb, 89 receptions, 1,130 yards, and 5 TDs. Michael Gallup with 66 receptions and 990 yards and 5 TDs. I got 3 receivers almost breaking 1,000 yards on this team.
I have 3 receivers breaking 1,000.
Do you? I almost went there.
So
I think.
Go ahead, Ryan, and then I'll stay.
Yeah, I think for fantasy, like if you didn't snag any of these receivers in the draft, like you're not going to be disappointed because it's going to be very, very pass heavy.
I reference a lot of things here too. When you're talking about fantasy football, you want very pass heavy offenses because there's a larger piece of pie, as per se. And the Cowboys are one of those offenses because they're going to be passing a lot. A similar one would be the Chiefs here. So I've got these 3 statted out very similarly, and I think it's going to be thrown around the rock's going to be thrown around a lot here. I've got Amari Cooper at 1,210 yards and 7 TDs. I've got CeeDee Lamb finally surpassing him. Someone will finally surpass Amari Cooper at 1,220 yards. So by 10 yards, 8 touchdowns. And then I've got Michael Gallup at 1,000 yards, 5 TDs.
Yeah, and what's interesting is even with Dak only playing 5 games last season, them bringing in Andy Dalton, who's not Dak Prescott, you still didn't have them very far off from having 3,000-yard receivers. I mean, Amari broke 1,000, CeeDee Lamb at 935, and then Michael Gallup at 843.
It's very possible.
So it's
very likely.
Yeah, I think it's more likely than not that you have all 3 of these guys get 1,000 yards, if not, or at least very, very close.
You digging for gold over in your ear there, Ron?
I had an itch. You don't itch?
If I was to take a bet in Vegas, I would take the bet that 3 of these receivers to go over 1,000 yards.
Yeah. Yep.
In what order would you take them, though, with their current ADP?
For Dynasty, I'd say definitely CeeDee Lamb over Cooper or Gallup.
Ron, do you have where they're going currently with their ADPs? Because I think that's a pretty important point to bring up with the Cowboys right now.
I'm sure I could probably pull it up pretty quickly.
Get it up there,
I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, actually CeeDee Lamb is going before Amari Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
And I still believe Amari Cooper has the better year. So if I'm correct, then I would want Amari Cooper.
If you can find those ADPs.
It's right here.
I think Gallup, according to Fantasy Pros, is going at number 119.
So he's a good value, too.
Yeah, like that's
crazy. I think his main thing is he has injury concerns, too, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Stays healthy. He could be a steal, though.
CeeDee Lamb is at 506.
Mm-hmm.
Amari Cooper is at 405. So CeeDee Lamb is going a little bit behind Amari Cooper.
That's surprising. I thought he would have been higher.
If you did get CeeDee Lamb in the 5th round,
that's a great pickup.
If you can get Amari Cooper in the 4th round, like that's still.
Yeah, I mean,
if you get Amari Cooper as your wide receiver 1, I don't think you'll be upset.
I was so happy with him last year up until that Dak Prescott injury. He was really doing well for the team. I would have gone farther in the playoffs if I would have not had him with Andy Dalton, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, because you could argue even taking those guys a little bit earlier, and it wouldn't really be that much of a reach.
Yeah. And I bet people do take CeeDee Lamb much earlier. We're not quite to the time where like casual people are drafting and doing mock drafts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I bet once they do, I bet you see CeeDee Lamb's ADP shoot up into like probably closer to the 3rd round.
I agree. Yeah.
Yep. Just on the name and. All right, let's move on. We got Blake Jarwin as the tight end, or Dalton Schultz. I feel like if Blake Jarwin is healthy, it'll be Blake Jarwin. That's obviously who they wanted to go with last year. I got him satted out, and I just satted out as Blake Jarwin for the full year. I don't like predicting injuries or anything of that nature. So I got him for 65 receptions and 760 yards and 3 TDs.
It's a great year.
Yeah.
I mean, his TDs could be higher, but
yeah, that's what's going to keep him down out of the, contention for top 5. I think.
I don't think he's going to have that great of a year just because of the 3 wide receivers. I've got him at 500 yards, 4 TDs. So middle of the pack tight end. Unfortunately, there's a lot of those, and you're going to see that again this year, I think.
I want anybody from this offense, really.
Yeah, if you snag any position for the Cowboys, you're probably going to be happy with it.
Except the defense.
Don't pick up Dallas's defense.
All right, anything else, or we want to finish up this division with the Eagles?
Let's do it.
I think we're good.
All right, here we go, where there might actually be some arguing in this show, so be prepared. We're going to start with Jalen Hurts, and I'm going to give Joe the floor on this one because
you're going to like the floor.
He's all about Jalen Hurts.
I like Jalen Hurts a lot. So I made a bold prediction on our bold prediction show that we are going to have 3 running backs with 1,000 rushing yards this year. So I've got Jalen Hurts doing that. So I've got Jalen Hurts at 3,200 yards passing, 21 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 1,000 yards rushing, and 6 rushing TDs. Good quarterback for fantasy football. Top 10. Book it. He's going to be a good quarterback for you.
Wow.
I don't believe.
How many passing yards?
Just 3,200.
I actually have him for more passing yards than you.
But do you have the rushing yards?
So I know I talked it all up, but there's not going to be much arguing. I got him for 3,500 passing yards, 900 rushing yards.
Wow.
23 passing touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns.
See, I knew you were a closet Jalen Hurts fan because you talked a little shit about him, but then you talked him so much up on the next episode.
No. I talked about him not being in the top 10 of quarterbacks. And without having Aaron Rodgers statted out, he's still at number 12.
How many rushing touchdowns did you have him getting?
5.
He's right on the border. I think he's still you could still take him early because he's got that rushing upside. I mean, if he passes for more, man, the sky's the limit if he can actually pass for more than that. But I think he's a low 3,000 yard passer because of that ability with his running.
I understand a lot of people are high on him, and I get it because of the rushing ability, but his games weren't all that great.
He was only averaging 94 yards a game passing last season.
That's why I got him statted so low.
Passing. Right. You could blame that on the head coach a little bit, but that's I think that only averages out to let me see.
Where you saw the potential was that Saints game.
Yeah, that only
took them by surprise.
That only averages out to 1,600 yards passing.
Yeah, he took the Saints by surprise. Like,
I think he'll be more proficient. Plus, they gave him an extra weapon, which we'll get into.
Not to mention, I don't know if he starts all year.
Why would you say that?
Well, first off, he in his 4 starts, he only won 1 game, and it was the first game against the Saints that he got, they took him by surprise. And then he lost to Arizona, which is a pretty decent team. He lost to Dallas at the end of the year when they were starting Andy Dalton. And then they lost against Washington, when they pulled him out of the game to see what else they had. Like, I just feel like, yes, he's got rushing ability. Yes, he could be really good for fantasy, but I don't know if he's good enough for a real football team.
Here's the thing, though, is you don't trade, regardless of the salary, if you don't trade Carson Wentz away if you do not believe in him, I don't think they bench him at any point this season, regardless of the outcome. They're going to ride or die with him, and if he sucks, they'll end up drafting someone else. He's going to be the quarterback for the year.
Unless Deshaun Watson gets traded there.
True.
That's true, which there is heated up rumors talking about that.
I am off the Jalen Hurts wagon.
I am not.
I'm not getting on it. Passing.
I've got him statted out pretty nicely, but I don't know if I would be able to pull the trigger in the draft. Just because, like I said, I don't know if he starts every game.
He's going to be interesting when he gets up on our auction block, what happens.
Yeah, it really will. I think what you'll see is a couple people that are high on him bid him up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I can get him for $2, I'll pay $2 for Jalen Hurts. And then hope for the best. But I don't think that happens.
Let's just say if I am interested in him, not saying I am or not,
he is.
I will hedge my bets with a veteran quarterback in the back end too.
Right.
Someone I feel solid with.
All right, I'm putting Jalen Hurts up on the auction block and letting Joe
get him for $2.
Pay a lot of money for him.
I'm not going to spend that much money on a QB. I don't spend money on QBs.
All right, we'll move on to the running backs of this team. Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. I don't feel like they got that rookie Kenneth Gainwell, but I don't know when he makes an impact, if he does it all this year.
Isn't Jordan Howard there now too?
I think they already cut him.
Oh, well, that tells you.
I will say he wasn't listed in the top 4 of the depth chart on ESPN. That's what I'll say. So I got Miles Sanders actually having an all right year at 267 attempts, 1,200 yards.
Wow.
And 330 receiving yards. I got his yards per average a little higher right now because of Jalen Hurts. I do think that, rushing QBs always helps a running back gain a couple extra yards in a run. So
he's more of a passing running back, though. I think that actually might hinder him a little bit, if that makes any sense. I had him at 950 yards, 5 touchdowns, 300 yards receiving. He's still a weapon. I don't know if he'll mix very well with Jalen Hurts, to be honest. I'm not feeling so good about him this year.
Well, that's why I brought down his receiving work.
That's still a good year, though, for a running back. The receiving work.
Yeah, but that could be worse.
I want no part of Miles Sanders because I'm a big stupid idiot and paid a ton of money for him last season, and it was not good. So I'm staying away from it completely.
And I will have no part of any of these wide receivers.
I will.
Devonta Smith?
Damn right I will, because I've got Devonta Smith having 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns this year. He is going to be an animal. He's coming in. He's a very clean veteran, and I've told you that before. Well, he plays like a clean veteran. His game is solid, and I think he's going to be good. I'll stat these wide receivers now that we're out on these stats. I've got Devonta Smith leading them at 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. Jalen Reagor at 750 yards, 4 touchdowns. I believe Deshaun Jackson's still there, so 500 yards, 4 TDs.
He's not. You're totally wrong on that.
Then whoever they have there is going to be insignificant then. And then we'll get into Goddard after that.
So here's my thing. So
where is Jackson now then?
He is with the Chargers?
Wonder why I thought he was still in the Eagles. Anyway, continue.
I got Devonta Smith for 900 yards and 4 TDs, which isn't a horrible year for a rookie. Not at all. But right now he's being drafted in the 7th round. And I just don't know. I feel like there's more people in the 7th round I could take a shot on that I would like better.
Not me. I love his upside, man. And at those numbers, he's a great wide receiver 3. I love his upside in the 7th round.
I wish I could find. I'm trying to find.
While Ron's searching, Deshaun Jackson is on the Rams.
Well, we were all wrong.
That was right.
And I want no part of this whole Eagles team. I don't want the quarterback. Don't want the running backs. Don't want the wide. I'm out.
I'm out.
Peace.
What about Go
All
Derek?
right.
None of it. None of it.
None of it.
He's so jaded from Miles Sanders. He's just avoiding the whole team.
It's so
I
true.
don't know. So here's my thing. Like, so what did I say his thing was? 7 something?
Mm-hmm.
So Devonta Smith is 7-12, the end of the 7th round.
Great value for him there.
I could get Robbie Anderson at 709. I think Robbie Anderson has a better year. Deebo Samuel.
I'm all in on Deebo.
Yeah, I could get him. There's Noah Fant in there. Beginning of the 8th round, we'll go a little bit into there. Well, there's Jalen Hurts, beginning of the 8th round.
Fitting.
Tom Brady at the beginning of the 8th round.
That's great value.
If you're going waiting on QB and not taking one of those big guys, Tom Brady in the 8th is great value.
Not bad to have a note there.
Curtis Samuel in the 8th round. Like, there's just...
No, thank you.
There's so many more people that I would rather build my team around than Devonta Smith right there, I guess. It's why how I think about it.
It's all right. They're rookies. We all have different opinions on them. Just yours is wrong, but that's okay.
I just say the Eagles need to get a quarterback. And until then, no bueno.
Do you guys like him if Deshaun Watson ends up there?
Yes.
Yeah.
If he's not suspended?
Yeah. If Deshaun Watson goes there and actually plays, these numbers would increase significantly.
They seem like a team that would take a chance on a QB. I mean, they were the one that took the chance on Michael Vick way back in the day. So the owners might look to do that with Watson if his stuff clears up.
Especially if he can actually play this year. Because he's not suspended or anything.
No.
He can play.
Not yet. That's a big yet.
All right, so we'll move on to the tight ends here. Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz is still on the team.
And if you have never seen the show before, yes, we know his real name, but he's referred to as Goedert because we could never get his name right. So it's Goedert.
No.
I couldn't get his name right.
There you go. I was going to say, I was going to ask you if you had a mouse in your pocket.
He was one of the very first nicknames that we came up with on the show in our very first episodes.
All right. I got Goedert for 69 receptions and 700 yards and 8 TDs. I feel like they're going to run the offense similar to what the Ravens do, or the best they could possibly mimic it with the weapons that they have. So I think Goedert is a solid tight end this year to have. And could have a good year.
I do too. I see them running very heavy tight end sets because Jalen Hurts is a running quarterback, provided that they don't trade Zach Ertz, which is a strong possibility still. They may have someone else below him. But I've got Goedert having 700 yards, 5 TD. So very good year for him as a tight end. And if Zach Ertz is still in the offense, which is quite the question mark, only 300 yards, 1 TD.
I just thought of the most Houston Texans thing to do ever.
Get Zach Ertz in the trade?
They're going to trade Zach Ertz for Deshaun Watson straight up.
That would never happen. That's insane.
That would never happen. Just like they would never trade DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson in a second rounder. That's right. That would never happen either.
You would need
wait.
That's insane. That would be the last episode of the show if that happens. That's just no.
For you.
If that happens, I will get off this podcast.
He's lying, folks. I won't let that happen.
Oh my God. Please no. I understand, Texans, that your world is like playing Madden and you put in these crazy trades, but guess what? They don't work out for you. Don't do that. At least get value for him. Unbelievable.
Oh,
What a way
boy.
to end the show on such a crappy note. Oh.
I know. Crappy note. That was a great note. I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't do that. Just don't listen to him. And these are your experts, folks.
These are your experts. These are the people that run teams. All right. Well, that was the NFC East breakdown right here on Garbage Time Fantasy Football. Make sure you visit us at our website, www.garbagetimeff.com, to leave voicemails or hate mails. Make sure you get over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review and, preferably a 5-star rating. Subscribe on our YouTube page right here at Garbage Time Fantasy Football. Hit us up on our Instagram.
You can leave us messages there too.
You can leave us a message on Instagram, comment on our YouTube pages. Just go anywhere you can to join the heckling fandom.
That's right.
Do it.
Subscribe.
Right now.
Like stuff. And let me point out one more thing too. Ryan has another episode of his fantastic show. What is that show, Ryan?
We got Garbage Time Presents, the MMA show. This episode just released. We covered last Saturday's fights as well as predictions for this Saturday's fights. It's a huge card, a lot of good fights on there, so definitely go check it out, get our predictions, maybe throw some of those people in DraftKings, win some money. I did go sits for sits on my fighters last week, so it was a pretty good week.
Yeah, so listen to his stats. And Ron, are we actually going to get the conclusion right so we don't get a double noise sound this week?
I guess we'll find out, won't we? Have a good day, everybody.